You know that moment. You are mid-conversation, mid-sentence, mid-thought, and suddenly everything goes quiet. Not the room, just something inside you. Because the person across from you is looking at you in a way that feels different from every other look you have ever received. It is not aggressive, it is not casual, it's something else entirely. Something that lands somewhere deep and does not leave quickly. You did not plan for it, neither did they, and yet something passed between you in that silence that neither of you has words for yet. That is not a moment to brush past. That is science. That is your nervous system responding to one of the most powerful forms of human communication that exists. Today, we are going to break down exactly what that is. 8 signs that the eye contact between two people has crossed into something rare, something deeply intense, and something that the latest research in psychology and neuroscience is only beginning to fully understand. Sign 1. Time distorts when you hold each other's gaze. Normal eye contact lasts between 3 and 5 seconds before one person naturally breaks away. That is the social standard. That is what comfortable everyday interaction looks like. But when eye contact between two people becomes deeply intense, time stops behaving normally. What feels like a few seconds has actually been 15. What should have felt awkward somehow does not. Neither person moved to end it, and neither fully knows why. This temporal distortion is documented in psychological research on states of deep focus and emotional absorption. When the brain becomes fully engaged with something it finds profoundly meaningful, its internal clock slows. The outside world recedes. This is the same mechanism behind flow states, that sensation of being so locked into something that hours pass without notice. When it happens through eye contact with another person, what you are experiencing is mutual absorption. Two nervous systems locking onto each other so completely that ordinary time simply stops applying. If this has happened between you and someone and you both noticed it, that is not a small thing. That is one of the rarest forms of human connection there is. Sign 2. You feel it in your body, not just your mind. Most social interactions are processed cognitively. You think about what to say next, you evaluate, you manage. But deeply intense eye contact bypasses cognition almost entirely and goes straight to the body. Your chest tightens slightly. Your breathing adjusts without your permission. There's a warmth or a pull that arrives before your mind has formed a single coherent thought about what is happening. This is the limbic system responding, the oldest emotional architecture in the human brain, the part that processes connection, threat, and desire long before the rational mind gets involved. When eye contact activates a somatic response, meaning you feel it physically, not just emotionally, neuroscience tells us that the interaction has crossed a threshold. The body does not manufacture physical sensation for interactions it finds neutral. When you feel it in your chest, in your stomach, in the sudden stillness of your breath, your body is telling you that something real is happening, even if your mind hasn't caught up yet. Sign 3. Neither of you wants to be the one to look away. This sign is subtle but unmistakable once you know it. In ordinary eye contact, breaking the gaze feels natural and neutral. Nobody experiences it as a loss. But in deeply intense eye contact, looking away feels like giving something up. There is a quiet internal resistance to ending it, not because either person is being stubborn, but because the connection feels so present that interrupting it seems like a small act of loss. Psychologists describe this as gaze adhesion, the phenomenon where two people become mutually reluctant to disengage visual contact because the neurochemical reward of maintaining it is stronger than the social impulse to break it. Your brain is receiving something from this look that it does not want to stop receiving, and the other person is experiencing the same thing simultaneously. That synchronicity, both of you feeling the pull to stay in it at the same time, is what separates deeply intense eye contact from eye contact that is simply long. Sign 4. The look changes without either of you speaking. In most conversations, expression shifts in response to words. Someone says something funny, you smile, the exchange is clear and cause and effect. But intense eye contact develops its own internal language. The look changes between you without anything being said. Something softens, something opens. The energy in the gaze moves through warmth, recognition, vulnerability, an entire emotional progression conducted in silence. And somehow you both follow it. This is what researchers call nonverbal co-regulation, two people unconsciously guiding and responding to each other's emotional state through micro-expressions, pupil changes, and subtle shifts in gaze quality. The fact that it happens without words is not incidental, it is the point. Words are the surface layer of human communication. What happens in deeply intense eye contact is happening at a much older and more fundamental level, the level where humans communicated long before language existed. Sign 5. You both smile without a reason. Nobody said anything clever, nothing objectively funny occurred, but something in the intensity of the gaze builds to a point where the only release is a smile, and it arrives on both faces at almost exactly the same moment. This involuntary smile is one of the clearest behavioral markers of genuine emotional resonance between two people. The Duchenne smile, the real one, the one that reaches the eyes and cannot be performed on command, is activated by authentic positive emotion. When it appears during sustained eye contact without an external trigger, it means the connection itself has become the source of positive emotion. The gaze is generating something. The two people are creating something between them simply by being fully present with each other. That is not ordinary. That is the kind of moment most people remember for years. Sign 6. You can feel what they're feeling. Intense eye contact opens a channel that most interactions keep closed. You start to sense the other person's internal state, not through what they say, but through something more direct, a quality in their eyes, a stillness or movement in their expression, something that transmits across the space between you and lands as understanding. You know they're nervous before they admit it. You feel their warmth before they've done anything to demonstrate it. This is empathic resonance, the activation of limbic neuron systems that allow one person's emotional state to be experienced in a limited but real way by another. Research suggests this channel opens most fully through eye contact because the eyes carry the most emotionally legible microsignals of any part of the human face. When two people are in deeply intense eye contact and this channel opens between them, they are not just looking at each other, they are inside each other's experience in a way that words rarely achieve. Sign 8. You remember it long after it ended. The conversation moved on, the moment passed, life continued. But the memory of that look stayed, with a clarity and a weight that ordinary moments do not carry. You find yourself returning to it without choosing to. It surfaces while you are doing something completely unrelated, and it arrives with the same subtle charge it had when it was happening. This is not nostalgia. This is the brain's way of flagging an event as emotionally significant enough to preserve in high resolution. The hippocampus, which governs memory consolidation, encodes emotionally charged experiences with much greater detail and durability than neutral ones. When a moment of eye contact leaves a memory that vivid and that persistent, it's because your brain classified it as one of the most emotionally meaningful events it has processed in recent memory. Trust that classification. The brain does not preserve ordinary things with that kind of care. 8 signs. Each one quiet, each one easy to miss if you're not paying attention, but together they form a portrait of something genuinely rare, a silent connection that most people encounter only a handful of times in a lifetime, if at all. The next time it happens, you'll know what you're inside of, and knowing changes everything. Drop a comment with the sign that hit closest to your own experience. I want to know which one stopped you. I read every single one.